Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Speak Up Sis talk show for authors, conversations that connect. This is the place where every day women and men who are authors are able to come and share the word of their testimony through their written work to inspire you to open up your mouth and share your story. My name is Angel Charmaine, and I am the host of Speak Up Sis Talk Show for Authors, Conversations That Connect. And this week, we have been having our holiday author showcase. It's the first time that we have done this in all the years of Speak Up Sis Bookshelf and Speak Up Sis Talk Show. And I wanted to bring about an opportunity for self published authors, especially Christian self published authors, to be able to spotlight themselves and their work right before the holiday season. Why? Because books make amazing gifts. They are definitely a gift that keeps on giving. But I have gotten so much more from this experience than I even thought that I would. And today's guest author is going to be a powerful share. Just know that. So, if you know some people who need to be inspired, who need to be encouraged, if you know any other authors, especially self published authors, who are struggling with sharing their story, with getting the words onto paper, then you definitely want to tag them in this conversation today. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in author Peggy Thompson into the space. And we're going to be talking today about her book that is entitled Dying on Section 8. Peggy, how are you doing today, sis?
Hi, I am here. Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. I appreciate you coming into the space, especially with all that you have going on today, to make the time to still come into the space and have this conversation that I know is going to connect. I really appreciate you, sis. So, we do have viewers who will tune in and they will ask questions or they will make comments. Are you okay with answering questions or having us talk to our viewers today? Are you good with that?
I'm okay with that.
All right, that's what's up. So we've got someone who was here before we got here. Taishika Wright. Thank you so much for joining us today. Taishika is also a self-published author. She was our very first guest author for this holiday author showcase on Monday. Thank you so much for joining us today, sis, and supporting Peggy with her conversation on today. Thank you so much. If you are watching, feel free to drop your comments. If you have any questions, we do allow Q&A, so all you have to do is send your questions in the chat and we will address them during this live. Again, I would like to welcome you all to Conversations That Connect. So, Peggy, I would like for you to share a little bit about who you are to our viewing audience.
Well, first of all, my name is Peggy Thompson. I am a mom to three amazing kids, one boy, two girls, and I call them Team X because that's who the Lord decided to bless me with. I see myself as a future advocate. I'm just a survivor and a overcomer of so much. Then I got this hashtag that I use sometimes, hashtag everybody mama.
Hashtag everybody mama. I don't know if I want to be everybody's mama. My goodness, it's hard enough to be the mama of my four mighty men of valor than to be everybody else's mama. So that is definitely a title to take on. But I'm sure you're built for it. You would not have taken it on if you were not built for it. So that's what's up. We have Harold Bed's Thoughts in the building with us today as well. Miss Deborah Jefferson, thank you so much for joining us today. Hello, hello, hello. Make sure that if you have any questions, you put them in the comment section. If you have any comments or any questions as we have this discussion today, feel free to put them in the comment section. We are looking forward to having a very robust conversation today. So, want to jump straight into this. We typically spend a little time kind of mincing words, but I believe that the title of your book lends so much to who you are and where you are in your life right now that they just kind of go together. So I don't know if we can even separate the book from you today. I think we are going to jump right on into it. Your book is titled Dying on Section 8. And when I first saw that title, I was like, what? What does this even mean? It's such a powerful title. Can we start first by defining Section 8? Everyone watching may not even know what that means. Do you mind sharing with us what Section 8 is?
Section 8 is a federal and state program, and it's usually aimed towards the elderly, disabled, those below the poverty lines. And also, they have a place where they squeeze in homeless people. It's a program basically where we as tenants are allowed to search for housing. The housing can be apartment, trailers, condos, duplexes, long as the landlord accepts Section 8, the housing choice voucher, and agree to abide by their terms and allow us to move in as tenants. That is what the Section 8 program is. We go find a home, we take the paperwork to the housing authority agency, they do the inspection, they approve, the families move in, and then we have a certain part of our rent portion that we have to pay if we have income coming in. And usually every 10 days, well, you have 10 days to report change of income. So for instance, when I was working, I had 10 days to report that I was working. And then they send me a letter called rent adjustment and say, hey, this is your portion of the rent effective such and such. And anytime you start or stop, make sure you report it. But Section 8 basically is an opportunity for families not to become self-sufficient, if they use the program right. Some people use Section 8, take advantage of it, tear up people's homes. So that is what the Section 8 program is, to help families live in safe and affordable homes, supposedly.
Okay, so you you just said Section 8 is supposed to help families to be able to live in safe and affordable homes. Yet the title of your book is Dying on Section 8. It's kind of oxymoronic, kind of like bittersweet right there, right? So why did you title this book Dying on Section 8 if Section 8 is supposed to provide safe and affordable housing? What caused the title to have the dying component?
Well, the dying part, because we've been through so much. I was just talking to God. God, when I'm supposed to name this book, I didn't want to write the book, but it's not about me. It's what I was called to do. And hearing a lot of other people talk about that they deal with some of the issues that they deal with. So, for instance, the dying part, dying physically, emotionally, socially, and I'll break those down. Physically, because when we was dealing with mold, and we are dealing with mold with this current apartment complex right now, it causes your bones to snap, crackle, and pop. You end up to the doctors constantly over and over again. Emotionally, oh my gosh, I watch me and my kids. We just go into these hurdles. Um, some of the issues that my son dealt with, we moved around a lot, and it's not because I was a parent who got kicked out, got evicted, didn't pay the bills. It's because we was living in unsafe places, and I got tired of seeing my kids go through that. In the meantime, I did not catch on until it was too late that constantly moving was emotionally damaging my kids, having to change schools, having to help mama pack boxes. And they got to start over, make new friends at school, in the communities. Last but not least, socially. Now we're to the point of our life where I would not allow them to have no sleepovers. I don't allow people to come to my home. I don't want nobody to get sick. because of some of the things that I've seen happen in this environment, from black mold to fruits and vegetables expiring, to it's just so much that we've been dealing with here. So, and when my family do come from out of town, I hey, they deal with mold in some of their places, but I always let people know, you already know what we dealing with. So you come in here, it's on you. The landlords have not done anything. So we over here dying all sorts of ways on Section 8.
That's heavy. What do you hope your book, Dying on Section 8, will do? Like, do you have an overall purpose for this book other than just sharing the story? Is there something greater that you are hoping will come about because of the book that you've written?
I hope landlords are held accountable. And when I say that, it's because most of the times, the things that I've dealt with, it's hard for tenants to get out of a lease. And North Carolina does not have a mold law yet. And it's not fair to tenants, it's not fair to the kids, it's not fair to families. So I hope that they make stricter laws and implement more ways at the housing authority agencies and the landlords to make sure that people are really living in safe, affordable homes. Make sure they check for mold, put in whatever necessary devices. They do I think it's carbon monoxide detectors. They put those in some homes. Make sure landlords provide a proper paperwork showing if a house or apartment, because this one had flood damage, and I did not know until I was talking to a Uber passenger and talked to some neighbors. Provide the necessary paperwork saying yes, the mold was remediated properly, not just by a handyman, not by a friend. Make sure these people are using the necessary funds and calculating the rents properly, not overcharging tenants. And make sure the people from the housing authority are coming out doing the proper inspections like they're supposed to, thoroughly, not constantly sending out papers. Hey, we're going to do XYZ, we're going to check this. And they don't check the proper equipment, they don't check the windows, and they don't follow up with complaints. That's what I'm hoping to see. The world be changed for the next generation.
That's a strong and powerful motivation. Is that what sort of motivated you to write a book? Why not a podcast? Why not some other form of media? What was your motivation to become an author? And is this your very first work?
This is my first book. I forgot to mention that in the intro. I am a first time author. The reason I didn't do a podcast, that is something that is on my list to do once I reach out to the right coach and mentors. But this book I share, I did Uber for quite some time. And I share my story, and people, God always use people for confirmation or tell us what we need to be doing. People like, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. And it's not just particularly about this situation, dying on Section 8, about the housing experiences, but it's just how I think about the elderly, the military, the disabled, and all these families who live in income-based housing. And we see, well, I've seen a lot of things on YouTube where, guess what, if the house fell apart, the tenant had to move. We had a situation where a home was found unfit, and it's in the book. The chapter is Townsend Street. I didn't know everything that I know now, and the landlord could have been held accountable. Even though the home was found unfit, we had 10 days to move. That wasn't fair. My vehicle was broke down. I was unable to work. I received disability for multiple reasons and just so much. And it's like, it's a slap in the face. And then you and your kids could have been out here. Me and my kids could have been out here homeless, or somebody else in that family could be out here homeless because the home wasn't safe. And they've been making the reports the whole time and nobody done anything.
So, what type of feedback are you receiving from your book? Are people actually reading your book and giving you feedback? And are you getting primarily positive feedback where people are wanting to come aboard, help, connect? in that way, or are you getting negative feedback? Because I've heard feedback about Section 8 before, and it sits on, you've got some people's thoughts that are far on one end of the spectrum, right? And then you've got thoughts that are far on the other end of the spectrum. What type of feedback are you getting from your book?
Well, a lot of feedback, first of all, was in my head like, oh my gosh, I got to deal with criticism. I got to deal with people like, oh, here she go talking up. We just trying to live. I'm trying to live too, but I want better. Um, the most recent was my aunt. She brought the book. She read it. It was in September. She read it. She sent me a text. She said, I didn't know you was going through all that. I don't throw my burdens, my problems on any everybody. Because, we all got things that we're dealing with. Another lady who's from the area that I'm from Chocowinity, North Carolina, she left me a good review. And she commended me for like speaking up. My cousin and some others. A lot of people not leaving Amazon reviews. I need for them to do that as I continue to learn and grow on this journey. And yeah,
I'm glad that you're getting positive reviews. I want to say to everyone who is watching, not only do we want you to purchase Dying on Section 8, we want you to read Dying on Section 8. And after reading it, please go on Amazon and leave a review. A lot of people don't realize just how important reviews are to authors on that platform. I want you to think about when you go to Amazon to buy anything, even if you're just going to buy a shirt, you read the reviews, don't you? You read the reviews because you want to make sure that you're not going to send your $9.99 and not get what you want. Or even if you're spending $3, you're going to read those reviews. So people think like that as well when it comes to books. They want to know whether or not the money they spend is going to be worth their time. And even if the book is free on Kindle Unlimited or something, people still read the reviews because their time is valuable and they don't want to waste time reading books that they don't believe will be valuable to them. So we want you to purchase Peggy Thompson's Dying on Section 8, and we want you to read it, and we want you to actually leave reviews. We have some comments from our viewers, and so I would like to go to them and see what it is that they have to say. Deborah Harrowbed's thought says, been there a time or two. This is in reference to uh, using Section 8 for housing. And Taishika says, Deborah, me too. I use it as a stepping stone for my children and I. They're having a whole conversation in the chat. Deborah says, right. But we see now some states and places don't regulate as well. And Taishika says, no, they collect money while tenants suffer. I believe that to be true as well. Taishika says, some of those apartments been around forever. The one I stayed in, Glowville, was torn down and replaced with houses. And then Harold Bed's thoughts says, this story needs to get out. I agree. I agree with you, Harold Bed's thoughts. This story needs to get out. And so I want to personally encourage every single person who comes across this video, whether you are watching it live, whether you're listening to it on a podcast, whether or not you are catching this on the replay, please consider purchasing this book, Dying on Section 8, and read it and share it so that we can get more people aware of what's happening. So, Peggy, you have the book. It sounds like you've got a bit of a movement here. It's not just a book. Is this book encouraging you to create something bigger? Do you believe that this book may be the beginning of maybe a movement of some sort?
I do because I grew up in a house with no running water. And I'm an 80s baby. And back then, a lot of things got swept underneath the rug, got overlooked. Now this is a different generation. I'm thinking about taxpayers' money. I'm thinking about the money that I done paid and they using. I'm thinking about the rent that I have to pay now, plus the Lysol. I brought air filters. I got a dehumidifier. All the time, all the funds, all the headache, all the stress to clean a place that has mold in it. All the times that I've been to the ER room, my kids dealt with nosebleeds, had to send my son off to the group home, because of the area that we live in, this is not going to be our forever home. But I'm thinking about the elderly. Some of these people got walkers. Some of them are on oxygen machines. And I'm thinking about my mom and the place that she live in right now that's unfit. It is very unfit. And she pays almost $1,000, her and my family, and people yet has fixed her apartment. And when I sent the letter on her behalf, they called her, but she went back in the hole. I'm not going back in the hole. God told me don't be afraid of men in their faces. Hey, she got a bayoko. So I'm speaking up for the ones who continue to go through this. Because people like, oh, Section 8, they living their best life. My rent was $3. I'll be good too. Everybody is not living their best life.
Whew. I really think it's important to address um, people's perspectives. I'm glad that you brought that up. The idea that there are some who feel like, oh, you on Section 8, you ain't paying nothing, you living for free, buying fancy clothes and all this other stuff while while you're getting free rent and things of that nature. And I think it's important for you to continue to share your story, to continue to share this book so that people can hear a different perspective, so that they can know a different perspective. How can people help you to continue getting the word out, to continue doing the work that you're beginning to get into? Is there something that you would like to say to people to encourage them to help you on this new journey that you're on? And I wouldn't even say new. It sounds like you've been on this journey a long time. You may be new to being an author, but not the journey. How can people help you on this journey to bring awareness to the people who are dying on Section 8?
One way that they can help, I don't care how they decide to purchase the book, order it for me, paperback, find me on Facebook. Those funds I'm not over here playing with. I put them into a savings account because I got kids, and to purchase other copies, I will sign them and send them to you. But first of all, I got to shout out Dr. Latoya, the Spark, because if I would never cross paths with her, this book would not be out here. She said, "What do you want your cover to be?" And I told her, she delivered it. I'm gonna break it down. That's that's mold. No, that's the viruses, the things that you can't see. We can't see viruses, but you see it up here. That's the door. You don't know what you about to walk into, and you see the black mold. You see all other sorts of molds, and mold isn't always visible. I've learned so much, and you see the caution tape. Enter. Be careful when you enter in some of these homes. This book will tell you what to look for. But anyways, before I get too far off track, Rainy Publishing and more. Now, Speak Up Sis, Bookshelf, you can get your copies there. Amazon, they get their funds before they do anything. But my main point is for y'all to read this story. I'm not out here on Section 8 living my best life. This story will tell you so much about how we live in. And to be honest, right now, it's stressful. My kids supposed to be pulling clothes out of a drawer, prepared to move things didn't fall through. We pulling stuff out of bins. We all sleep in the front room. I'm paying rent to sleep in the front room. This ain't no hotel room just because I get sick and short this breath back there. My kids' face break out. I'm paying rent to sleep in the front room. Now it's time for us to get up out of here because now my breathing, whew, I'm not even go into that because now you keep on moving from one room to the next one. The next step is out the door. But I got to wait because another thing that people don't know on Section 8, the landlords are requiring so much high credit scores, first and last month rent, and some of them want a reference, and they just require more and more for us to move into these rundown homes. I went and looked at a house just the other day and the deposit was 1,500. Some of them ask for deposit up to 3,000. Who has that type of money? We already on Section 8. We're on Section 8, and you're requiring $3,000. No pets. This, that, and the third. And it's so frustrating.
Wow. So you're telling me us. I feel like I know that we have viewers, and remember, you all, you can totally place your questions in the comments. If you have questions for author Peggy Thompson, please put your questions in the comment section. We'll be happy to address them, whether they are about the book specifically, about her story specifically. Feel free to ask, but I'm so drawn into this story. Just know I'm going to be reading this book from cover to cover. Okay. Um, so it sounds like you're saying I need to move, but I even have to be cautious about just leaving because I could find myself homeless because I'm not able to meet some of the criteria that some of the other places are asking for. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes, you are so right. And sometimes, right here lately, Christmas coming up, I've been telling my girls, I said, babies, I want to put stuff in storage and go. Hotels are high. But you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But then I said, okay, I'm going to keep searching because you got to look for certain, you got to look for water damage. You got to look
Mhm.
for quick fixes. It's so much that I done seen that I know what to look for. And I have sensitive skin and being immunocompromised. Some spaces I go into, if my face start breaking out or if I start sneezing, that's a no-go. So I got to be extra careful.
Mhm.
People like, oh, you just being funny. You already on Section 8, take what you can get. Guess what? My body already been through so much here in this space right now that is fighting off. Been on so much
Right.
medication, on an inhaler until I don't know when, on an EpiPen. So, and it all happened here. And one thing that I want viewers to know, when you move, and if you ever have a place and you know there was mold there, leave that stuff. Because one thing that I ran into when in this home, I think it's a chapter called homelessness or from place to place. Somebody said, did you take your stuff in there? Only thing me and my kids took was the things out of the trunk of our car when we was homeless. We had a
Mhm.
suitcase, a fan, and our clothes for school. My baby's summer was about to end, and I was driving up and down I-95 to my hometown to the point where I fell asleep and I hit the cones on the side of the road because I
Mhm.
didn't want to let the school know we was homeless because I didn't want to risk, DSS and all that other stuff. And that's something that
Yes.
affected my kids. And that's something my son shared with me about. He don't know I know, but I know. Traveling
Yeah.
up and down I-95, 2.5 hours, two chocolate wings, dropped them off to school, spend the whole day doing Uber just to make
Mm.
the funds necessary to rent a room and to eat. And people bless us with gift cards like, here, make sure your kids eat.
Yeah.
In the hotel, they have breakfast, but what about dinner? A lot of times I fed my
Right.
kids, mama didn't eat. We make those sacrifices. But you know what? The Lysol, it's
Yeah.
a chemical. I can't use certain chemicals. My baby
Mm.
braids going up and down. Why? What we do, baby? You ain't done nothing wrong. This is just part of the system that we in right now. It's not gonna be like that forever. And I commend them for when they make good grades. Cause me
Yeah.
personally, woo, I have my days where I don't want to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
And
say
so,
yeah,
and therefore, your children
mhm,
are feeling that, if not more powerfully, right? Along with the things that children deal with at
yes.
school from other kids and all of the other things. We do have a couple questions here in the comment section. Harold Best Thought says, Peggy, have you heard anything else from the news station? That's a good question. Have you reached out to news channels to potentially air your story?
I've reached out to a few news channels. I had one person tell me that they have to be mindful of the stories that they accept because it could include lawsuits and stuff like that. So, dealing with this and me not knowing the proper steps and fear has held me back from doing the rent abatement. And then that's another where we could be homeless because the people here that works together in the court system, outside the court system, I haven't even had enough guts to go fill out that paperwork to even stand in front of Mr. Dim and to be homeless.
What
Mhm.
what what does did you say abatement?
Yes, rent.
What does that mean? What is that term?
Okay, rent abatement. I can go to the courts and ask the landlord to reduce the rent. For instance, I could say to live here is $25, my opinion, and explain to them why. Tell them about the repairs that haven't been made and make sure I have my proof. Because one thing you got to do is make sure you have your proof and evidence of where you've been reaching out to get stuff repaired. So the judge can be like, okay, we're going to lower your rent into this amount until, maybe repairs are fixed. Sometimes situations your house be found unfit, and that's why I say it could lead you into being homeless. Also you can sue them, the landlord. I think here in North Carolina, from the research that I've done in civil court, you can sue them up to 10,000. That's another thing when you live in affordable housing and you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the right people um to help you with certain things that put you in the bind because they already know you ain't got the money, ain't nothing you can do. All you got to do is stay there. So that's another reason why it's important for me to get this story out. Can't come out if you ain't got the money. And then some people that you
Right.
speak to, you got to be mindful of because they are in positions, know your story, and they deal with some of the people. I've encountered that.
Right. Right. We got another question here. Taishika says, what did the manager say? Normally they will move you into a safer environment. So that's a great question. Have you talked to like the housing manager about maybe getting into a different unit? Which I feel like you're going to say yes to this after all the other things you're doing. I can't see how you would not have thought of this, but please answer this question.
I love that question. So I contacted Raleigh, and Raleigh sends people down here. It's a financing agency that supplies funds to this company. They sent somebody out. It was year before last, and I was telling them the issues I was having. But here's what they did: they blamed me. They said I didn't have the dryer vented. I caused mold in the house. That was a story. The company that I live with, they haven't even offered me a new place to move to. I didn't ask because with this company, you always got to fill out the criminal credit background check. With this particular company, even if I didn't have this issue, they said, "Hey, you got to go through all this again and get on the wait list." And now that I know that I'm on their bad side, there's no need for me to even try to like, "Hey, can y'all move me to another apartment?" Because Bunks Row is a chapter in this book that we moved to when we first moved here to Cumberland County. And I moved because all the 6-week inspections was driving me crazy. I'm a mom with 2 kids that has ADHD. I was working, I was battling health issues, and every time you turn around, we sit in here, make sure we're doing what they say, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And I got frustrated. So I was like, let us go find a house where the kids can go find a yard, go be free, go play. I could walk up and down the street because that's how I free myself. I walk. But when you got a place, a space where kids can't move but so much, that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of anger. That's like why we can't go outside. And a person from legal aid said that they were supposed to offer me a new place. They didn't. They point blame at me. There's an article in City View um, where a lady, I gave her copies of the work orders, and the housing manager here, no, they constantly shift site managers here. But one thing I
Okay.
don't agree with, is the lady who's supposed to be in charge of this place. When she responded back to City View, she said she had no knowledge of these issues. And once that
Mm,
article made it, she has not been to my door. She has not reached out. I know her name. I know who she is. I have her email address after doing research. You still haven't came here, but like, hey, Miss Thompson, how can we fix this? I'm so sorry you're going through this. It's all about money. It's all about them and building, building, building. And it's not fun.
right. It's not. It absolutely is not. And that I heard you when you said no, I haven't asked. It's almost a fear of retaliation.
That
It
and then move it to the same, different locations, same situations.
same situation.
They got multiple apartment complexes in North Carolina and South Carolina. Only thing is they're
Mhm.
switching up their name now.
And
I
they're
don't
dealing with the
understand.
same issues.
Yeah, they have a lot of bad reviews. I reached out to the BBB.
Hmm.
So it's like it's crazy. So why even like, hey, can I move over there? And one thing that I found out when I did, because I was gonna ask to move, but the they don't let you know when they're building new complexes. Because we've
Okay.
seen a community about 25, 30 minutes on the other side of town. And being in a freshly built space would have been all right. I have no problems with that. Because sometimes we got to do what we got to do until we can do better. But they don't even let you know that they building new properties here. And as a tenant now, they tired of me. I know they tired of me. But this ain't about me. It's not about my family. We've been going through, but it's about the people that I see on YouTube, homes, living in unsafe homes. I just got finished reading an article on Facebook. This woman kept on asking landlord for repairs. She ain't getting no response. She reached out to the news team. She got a response. It was too late. The ceiling fell in. They didn't want to allow her to break the lease, and it was on them. That's not fair to people.
Right. Absolutely. And then find yourself in a situation of homelessness, and the feeling of it feels like it would be a feeling of I'm stuck, kind of like I'm stuck between this rock and
Yeah.
this hard place. I'm in this place that's literally making me sick, that's making my children sick for so many in so many different aspects of life. Yet, would I rather be homeless? And I'm with you. I don't believe that any person, mother, father, parent, person, should have to make those types of decisions. So I would like to ask you a question. And Susan, hello, Susan. I see you. Susan is in the comments as well. She says retaliation is definitely an issue. Susan also responded to something you said earlier about moving your things with you. It serves as a bit of a death sentence to take the things from those infected environments into a new environment. So she made a comment about that. I would like to ask, as we're winding up our conversation, and I know 30 minutes is like not even enough time to really dig into this, but today I wanted everyone who watches this to know that there is a book that addresses the issues that Section 8 tenants, and not just Section 8, let me just say that your situation is Section 8, and there are many Section 8, but there are others who are in subsidized housing that may not necessarily be Section 8, but they're there based on their income. And because they're there based on their income, people are being taken advantage of. So I want everyone watching, and all of you who are watching, I encourage you to share this live in your own spaces. Tag other people in this conversation so they can see it, listen to it, so that we will all get to a place where we have some sensitivity to this particular issue. Purchase the book, Dying on Section 8. The author is Peggy Thompson. If you go to speakupsis.com/bookshelf, please know I am not taking any profits from this author or any other author. When you go to speakupsis.com/bookshelf, it simply gives you an easier way to see the book and access the book. When you click on her book, it's going to take you directly to where she wants you to purchase the book. We do not receive any funds from that. I just want to make sure that I'm very, very, very clear about that. So go and purchase the book. Purchase two. You get one for yourself and then gift one so that we can get as many people as possible to know that this is an issue, this is a situation, and to hear the perspective from the perspective of the tenant. Oftentimes we hear the homeowner's perspective, right? You hear homeowners talk about people destroying their homes.
Yes.
You hear the perspective of the community, right? Of they just section 8 their house and let these people come in and destroy our community. We hear so many other perspectives, but this book is going to give you the perspective of a tenant who is a good tenant, a quality tenant, someone who has just been failed by this system. So I encourage you today to please purchase a copy of the book, purchase two copies of the book, and gift one. So I would like to ask you to share with our viewing audience, our listening audience, um, if there's one thing you can leave with them, whether it's encouragement, whether it is information, what do you want people to leave with from this conversation today?
Put it in writing. No matter what the situation is, if it's a housing situation, it's a court situation, put it in housing and put it in writing and make sure you keep your copy. Don't give up. No matter how many times you get stepped on, trampled, lied on, accused, no matter how many times you got to go home and cry and want to give up, put it in writing and keep fighting.
Put it in writing and keep fighting. Listen, Speak Up Sis talk show for authors, conversations that connect. It is designed specifically for self published authors to share their testimonies. Notice I didn't say their stories, their testimonies through their written work to inspire you to do the same. Open up your mouth and speak up. Peggy, I want to thank you for coming into this space. I know how difficult this moment is to even have this type of conversation. And so I thank you so much for extending your time as well as your voice into this space. I pray that those who are watching now and who will watch later will hear your heart and will purchase the book. Um, to help both financially as well as to share the story. And so I thank you and I appreciate you for coming into this space today.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome.
Thank you to the viewers.
All right, everyone. I thank you so much for watching us today. Thank you for watching Conversations That Connect. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you for your questions and your comments. And I also appreciate the fact that you're going to go purchase Dying on Section 8 today, and that you're going to share this story with as many people as you possibly can. Thank you again for tuning in today. And we've got one more day, y'all, of the Speak Up Sis Talk Show for Authors Holiday Authors Showcase. Tomorrow, we are going to wrap this showcase up with author Ellen Harrison. So please make sure to set your alarms for 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, Friday, November 22nd, and join us for the last day of the Holiday Author Showcase. And I'm going to have a very special announcement for those of you who are self-published authors who did not get involved with this showcase. I've got a very, very, very special offer and opportunity that I'm going to share with you tomorrow at the end of the showcase. So make sure that you are here and that you are tuned in. And with that, everyone, thank you so much for watching Conversations That Connect today. Until tomorrow, don't forget, open up your mouth and speak up.